My name is Aleah Cameron. I was born in Kelowna, BC, and I now live in East Vancouver with my two children. I have a son who's 10 and a half, Gabriel, and my daughter is 6, and I homeschool her. I'm a shiatsu therapist. I've been doing that for, I guess, about 12 years. It's a form of Japanese massage. It's pressure points, and I get a lot of joy out of that. I've really, been able to help a lot of people with a lot of physical problems. So it's a big part of my life and who I am is doing that. And in my free time, I don't have a lot of free time because I'm homeschooling my daughter, but I do a lot of knitting. I've been doing that for many years. We do a lot of hiking and walking. We go over to the North Shore Mountains, and I try to incorporate a lot of nature into my daughter's homeschool. We're doing a Waldorf curriculum with her, which is the teachings of Rudolf Steiner. We're doing a lot of nature-based things. We're not doing any academics yet because he doesn't believe in children doing academics until they're over 7 years old. So this is some photos I have. This is my son, Gabriel. He's a bit older now, so this is when he was about 6 and he had some teeth missing. This is at our friend Myra's house. She's an incredible artist. And my daughter, Naomi, with some flowers that she picked. And this is actually a woman named Swami Shivananda Radha. She was a spiritual teacher for my parents. Very, very incredible person. She's long passed now, but I still keep a picture of her here. This is a photo of my mother when she was in her early 20s, so back in the 1970s. And a photo of me when I was 10 years old, my school photo. And this a photo of me when I was about 4. This was a great time in my life in Edmonton. And this is a picture of my mom, Mahara, and my dad, Neil, back in the 70s, in the hippie days when they first met. My mom must have been about 20, my dad 22. I'm an only child. My father was born and raised in Calgary, and he is of Dutch and Scottish descent. And my mother is Aboriginal from the Tsleil-Waututh Nation in North Vancouver. We spent my first 6 years in Edmonton. My dad was finishing his PhD in psychology, so we lived there. In 1986, I was born in 1980, so I'm 36, we moved to Vancouver. My mom had enough of Alberta and the coldness and the flatness. She wanted back to the ocean and the greens and the mountains. So my mom and I came back to Vancouver while my dad stayed in Edmonton to finish his education. I always wanted a brother and sister, but my parents, they had enough with me. They said that was it, good enough, just one. And then we moved on to the reserve when I was 10. So that's my mom's nation, Tsleil-Waututh. That was a great experience too. We really got connected to the community there, and I got to meet a lot of extended families because on reserves, that's what it is. It's hundreds of different cousins and different aunts and uncles, and you get to know your 5th and 6th cousin, and it's quite amazing to be surrounded by that many different sort of degrees of family. There's a lot of dysfunction as well on the reserve. There's a lot of people who are suffering a lot. There's a lot of problem with alcoholism and drug abuse and all sorts of different types of abuse happening to children and adults. That was, very, very painful, and it still is very painful. My mom is a family therapist, and so she really put a lot of herself into helping our community to heal. She started a lot of organizations, especially a program, I think it was called STAR, and it was helping people, survivors of sexual abuse, to heal. And so she did that a lot. We also had a lot of fun. I remember going out with my cousins and my friends and just going out all day, as children should, as most of the time in the city kids don't do anymore. We would just leave. We'd say goodbye to our mom in the morning, and we'd go and we'd climb trees. We'd, go down to the river. We'd build forts all day long. It was such great fun, and I really wish that my kids could have that experience. It's a little bit different growing up in the city, of course. You can go to your backyard by yourself and that's about it. I went to many different schools, public schools growing up, number in Edmonton, and I switched schools a number of times here. And then after that, I just went to shiatsu school for 2 years. And then I got pregnant with my son. And I got pregnant with my son when I was 24, and the father and I didn't stay together. When my son was 2, and my daughter's father, Desmond, then a couple years later I got pregnant with her, and now we're no longer together, so now I'm a single mother of 2. I wouldn't say it's necessarily part of our culture, maybe not in the past, but it is now. There's a lot of Native people who don't ever get married. Basically, you just start living together, and if you're living together, you just say you're married. There's no ceremony or anything really official. And it's very common for people to have relationships with different people and to have, a number of children by different parents. It's not really considered taboo or inappropriate, and it's not really a big deal at all. When I was a child, my parents had a couple of Baha'i friends in Alberta, Edmonton, where we're living in university housing. And they became good friends, and I did spend a lot of time with them playing with their children. I heard the word Baha'i. I didn't know what it meant. I don't remember hearing much about the faith, but I remember just wanting to be around them and feeling happy and positive when I was around them. And so we moved to Vancouver, and we didn't really stay connected. My parents didn't stay connected to those friends. But I'd often ride the bus, as a teenager, by the Baha'i Center in Vancouver. And I remember just feeling always excited when I saw that sign, like, oh, there's the Baha'i Center, and try to look at it as long as I could. Well, my dad's practicing a lot of yoga and meditation, and my mom more so her traditional culture. We do different sorts of things, like we have something called the medicine wheel, and it's basically a diagram, or you can do it on the ground. You make a big wheel, and it has 4 corners, and there's one is emotional, spiritual, physical, and mental. So they talk about how those are the 4 areas of your life that you need to have in balance and that you need to nurture. So they talk about, how to support those different areas of your life, how to take care of your emotional health, how to take care of your spiritual health, your mental, and your physical health. We have something called the Longhouse, and we do cultural practices there, spiritual dancing and ceremonies. We do stuff called smudging, which is we burn cedar or sweet grass, sage, or tobacco. Those are the 4 medicines. So we burn that, and we get the smoke, and we put the smoke over our body, and we feel that's clarifying to us and healing to our spiritual selves. Gotten together with Naomi's father, and we were living together, and Gabriel was 2 years old, and he said we should do something to become more of a family. He says, why don't we go to church? And I said, no, I don't. We're not going to go to church. I don't want to be a Christian. What happened to Aboriginal people was the church came and they kidnapped children, Aboriginal children, against their parents' will, obviously it was kidnapping, and took them into residential schools where a lot of them never saw their families again. And there's terrible things. A lot of them were beaten, starved, sexually abused, raped. They found mass graves of children not very far from here, an hour away at different residential schools. So, there's been unbelievable trauma done by people who have called themselves Christians. There's a lot, I'm very turned away from them. I really wouldn't want to have anything to do with that. And then all of a sudden it came into me, now I can become a Baha'i. Now I can find out what a Baha'i is. So I looked on the internet. I just typed in, Googled Vancouver Baha'i. I got the Baha'i Center. I think I called that day. And I talked to Saba.
اون روز دخترم رو از مدرسه برداشته بودم. دخترم اون موقع شاید 13-14 سالش بیشتر نبود. با هم دیگه رفتیم در خونهشون و وقتی که وارد شدیم انقدر این منظره قشنگ بود. یه زن سرخپوست، یه مرد سیاه‌پوست و یه پسر بچه شیطونه که اصلا آدم وقتی نگاش می‌کرد نمی‌دونست از کجای دنیاست.
Saba and I just connected immediately. We just really had a great connection immediately. We just, I just felt so happy visiting with her. We had such a great time every time she came to do a visit. We started Ruhi Book 1 right away. And I just felt really happy. I felt really like this is my community. This is, I'm finally doing what I need to do. And slowly I met more and more Baha'is. And, I've been a Baha'i for, I guess, 7 years now, so really not that long. I'm still trying to find out what it means to be a Baha'i, even though I'm trying to study it a lot. And I love just seeing the diversity of all the Baha'is. Different cultures, different perspectives on the faith, how they live the faith differently, different interpretations of how what the writings mean to them. So it's always, I'm always growing as a Baha'i. As an Aboriginal person, there's never been anything in the writings or no other Baha'i has ever told me you cannot practice your cultural beliefs, you cannot practice your spiritual beliefs. It's always been very encouraging, yes, practice your culture and practice your spiritual beliefs, like we're going to support you to do that. So it's empowering faith for sure. Every day when I wake up, how am I going to serve humanity today? What's the best ways that I can do that? I wake up saying, doing a prayer, looking at my prayer book, and I go to sleep doing a prayer. I don't drink alcohol anymore. I never had a problem with alcohol before, but I just, I'd made that decision not to do that at all. I found that, being part of a faith really gives you a lot of direction in your life. There's some very concrete sort of rules to follow that really create a direct path forward. There's no kind of wandering this way and wandering that way. And it's just, these are the things that you need to do in your life and just go forward with it. So it gives us a lot of power. It doesn't matter your past. If your heart is searching, it will come like a breeze.